Wait a minute. Hold on. No. Check 1 2. Checking 1 2. Checking 1 2. Check 1 2. Wait a minute. Hold on. All right. So there's the check 1 2. There's the delay. All right. I figured out what it was. So the camera on Restream, I don't want to have my camera on because then it would there. You see, for those of you on some of the socials, Restream or whatever else, I still don't understand why the volumes are going back and forth like that up there. I've restarted the everything else seems to be okay. Speakers, yeah, I mean everything else seems to be fine that way. I don't know why the volume. It's you'd have to see this. This is what's kind of crazy about what's these right here. You see how they're bouncing back and forth. Everything is saying that I'm registering, and I don't hear anybody else saying about, "Hey, dude, we can't hear you." Um, I was just on Instagram, or yeah, Instagram. That seems to be going out all right. And one of the things that is accurate is the destinations on I don't think I can edit some of these channels now that I'm broadcasting, but uh, wow. God, what a pain in the balls. So I'm still on Instagram here, but that doesn't register that I'm on Instagram on the destinations for Restream. Oh, God. Okay. All right. Who wants to do a show finally? Jesus Christ. Finally figured out what that was. Let's get this thing out of the way. Put that back up here on this one. Phew. Yeah, I don't know what this other thing is with the volumes. Everybody here okay? Let me know if you can't. Call me. Well, maybe that's another place where there'll be problems. Oh, Jesus. Oh, you know what I think it might be? My brain is fried. I got to go listen to a politician this afternoon yet, too. So I got a message from one of the soundboards that I'm on, or not a soundboard, but uh, let's see, video. It's default for audio. Check 1 2. Yeah, default for communications. Let's do that then. Check 1 2. Check. It's still doing it. Thought changing something might be a big help, but nope. I don't know why the volume keeps going down. I want all the volumes on the back end maxed so that let me do that too. Get rid of that. Yeah, I can't be dicking with this every day. I think once we figure things out with why some of this shit changes in the middle of a show, or actually, hey Michael, thanks for joining. We're just working on some audio shit. All right, so this guy, let's see if you can hear this.
And recovering tonight after being attacked by his own buffalo. He's with our David Kaplan about what happened.
We're here in Hollywood, St. Mary's County. Looks like any normal road, any normal neighborhood. But you talk to people who live here and they tell you it's different. That's due in large part to the owner of this plot of land who for over 40 years has kept buffalo on the property. People come feed it. People love seeing him. But this buffalo you're looking at now attacked the owner last night, sending him to the hospital. The 15-year-old buffalo's name is Dozer, short for bulldozer. Around 6:30 last night, Dozer, who weighs over a ton, charged at 83-year-old Dick Wilds.
I was in the pasture hand feeding, which I do all the time.
In his 43 years of owning buffalo, Wilds says he's never had an issue with any of them before last night.
He came after me, and I sort of swatted him back, and that's when he got my arm, and then the next thing I know, I'm doing cartwheels in the air.
Dozer's horns caused severe damage to Wilds' arm and leg. Wilds says he was in a lot of pain, but fortunate to get himself to safety as first responders arrived.
It could have been worse. It could have been worse. If I couldn't get out of there, he'd have been coming at me again. I could have been in big trouble.
The notes were male struck by buffalo. It was one of those, is this really something that I just read? And it was.
EMS Lieutenant James Cawley responded and said, despite the unusual call, crews worked quickly to stabilize Wilds, which included landing a state police chopper to get him to a hospital.
We've been bringing our children here, and now we bring our grandchildren here.
Neighbors like Donna Phelan said they were sad to hear about what happened, that Dick Wilds and his buffalo are staples of the neighborhood that sometimes has people lining up on weekends to give them a look.
A landmark, a lot of times if we're trying to tell somebody where we live, we say, oh, we're right around the corner from the buffalo farm.
Phelan, glad to hear her neighbor's okay. Wilds, who hopes to be back home tonight, grateful for the messages of support pouring in.
I appreciate them with all the good comments they've made. But it's also been good for me to have such a good network of friends and family.
Wild says at one point he had 30 buffalo on his property, but as he's gotten older, he has whittled that number down to 2. And he says that he is sad to think that he can't trust being alone with Dozer. He is going to try and look at all of his options, including possibly finding another place for Dozer to go.
I know that up in Pennsylvania, there is a place that Trexlertown Game
Time Virginia
Preserve.
is bracing for potentially higher electricity bills as state.
I don't know what that one is, but it's going off to the next one. There's a place in Pennsylvania, not too far north of there, that has them, and it's a zoo. It's an outdoor zoo farm, with professionals that are of age. You never thought you'd have to say, dude, you're too old to have buffaloes as pets. Bison. They kept saying buffalo, didn't they? It's a bison. That's not buffalo. We don't have buffalo in North America. That's a bison. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad the guy's okay, but I mean, at some point, there's a certain level of Darwinism and common sense. I'm not going to be able to keep dogs like Mastiffs my whole life. They're too big. They're too powerful. I'm trying to rebuild this house so that, my son could possibly move in here and maybe if they wanted it, but it's just not something. You've got to keep things in perspective. And that he's 83 and looks like that did not look 83. Good for him. And to be clear, that could have happened at any point, or at any point in anyone's life. But I think there's a certain level of Darwinism there too. Sorry to say it. All right, so our Atlantic coast is looking at a disturbance in the Atlantic that they're saying is going to become a depression and then a tropical storm. We're up to G. So we're kind of on schedule. We're in the beginning of September, and we're at G. H and I is what has always affected this area. 3 seasons ago was Hurricane Ian that hit south of Tampa Bay in the Sarasota area. And by the time that, sorry. Well, Thursday morning meeting. It was that fun. Let me do something else. Well, I mean, everything worked, so I'm not going to worry about it. Hurricane Ian came off the Gulf of Mexico. The Trumpers hate when I say that. Ian came off the Gulf of Mexico and hit Sarasota and then banked north and came straight up the peninsula. And being over land, it weakened quickly. By the time it got to us, it was a lesser version of a tropical storm. So that was my first season. I got here at the end of my first season in 2021. 2022 was Ian. That was a tropical storm. 2023 is Idalia, another I, Idalia. That passed us on the Gulf, and those are the worst for us because being east of a storm, we then get the 6 o'clock position as a hurricane rotates counterclockwise as you look down on it from above. It then counterclockwise, the 6 o'clock position would push water onto the west coast of Florida, the Gulf Coast, and that's what causes storm surge flooding. Which, by the way, when it comes to insurance, is not hurricane damage. It's storm surge flooding. And Idalia got up to my front and back door with the flooding, but did not make it in the house. I was definitely lucky that year. So that was 2023. 2024, last year, was Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Helene, same pattern, and both Idalia and Helene landed up in the corner of the state known as the Big Bend. That's where the peninsula turns left and heads west and becomes the Panhandle. And both of them hit there. Debbie, I think, was another one last year that also hit up there. So, yeah, they got smacked. Then Milton, you ready for this? Milton comes off the Pacific and crosses the meaty part of Mexico, meaning the widest part. Crosses the widest part of Mexico, keeps on going, gains momentum as it pulls moisture off the Gulf of Mexico as it hits Florida. And that was a direct shot into Tampa Bay. First time in more than 100 years that the Tampa Bay area was hit directly by a hurricane. Also the first time in history this year. Last year, first time that it was hit by a hurricane. This year, the first time that it was hit, or that it reached 100 degrees. Oh, wow. I can't stop yawning. Every Thursday, I have this call at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm trying not to work as late Wednesday night. Kind of did okay with that. Took some melodrama, whatever it is, the stuff that knocks me out. And I thought I'm ready. But let's see what they're saying about Gabrielle. This is from the National Hurricane Center and Fox 35 in Orlando. I don't know if you can also see it, that right now there's a flood warning for Lake and Volusia counties here in Florida.
Another named storm as early as this weekend. That red out there, that's what could become Gabrielle. And Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Noah Bergman joins us now.
So, Noah, what does this thing look like it's going to do?
Probably it will not threaten us, but probably is not definitely. I want to make that clear. So, it hasn't formed yet, first of all. It's still a bunch of showers in the Atlantic, as you can see tonight from downtown. By the way, we're entering that prime part of heat. Hurricane season this year, really between the middle of September and the middle of October is when the bulk of the big stuff happens every year. All right, so mostly dry for tomorrow. I don't think rain is really abundant at all for your Wednesday. The storms rapidly return starting Thursday and into the weekend. In the tropics, really starting next week, lasting probably for the duration of the season. It's going to be pretty busy. Now, whether they all hit land or not, I have no idea. So nobody can tell 4 weeks from now where the storms are going to go. All I can tell you confidently, based on what I'm seeing, is that the data points strongly to a very busy end of September, really starting towards the middle and end of next week. All right, the radar is calm and quiet for tonight. Across America, it's really pretty calm. There's some storms in Wisconsin, that's about it. Tomorrow, some severe storms in western Missouri, a few more severe storms from about State College down to Nashville on Thursday. This is a sign when a meteorologist is showing you severe weather charts in September that the seasons are changing. Because remember, there's a secondary severe weather season even for us. We can get tornadoes here later in fall here in Florida in November, December, January, February into winter. But that's a sign the seasons are changing to our north, definitely. 81 now in Melbourne, 80 in Orlando, 83 currently in Tampa, 79 New Smyrna, 81 Melbourne. Heat index will come up. This is the peak heat index averaged across the area, back above 100 for the upcoming weekend. All right, so here's that Fox model overnight going into tomorrow. We'll track a couple of showers offshore in the morning. But notice here's 11. There's not a lot of rain. In fact, hardly at all. Very limited coverage. I mean, it's 1 or 2, maybe 3. If I had to pinpoint one specific place, best chance for a downpour, it's probably Dr. Phillips to the theme parks area in the evening tomorrow. And that's
Orlando, Lake Buena Vista, and Longwood.
Now, going into Thursday, we'll have a lot more moisture that comes into play. The atmosphere goes back to a more typical rainy season setup. So be prepared Thursday for a lot more showers and storms in the afternoon and evening, and again for Friday. So if you're making dinner plans Friday, anything late afternoon and evening, starting off your weekend early, high school football games will have a lot of lightning and downpours to contend with. Does it rain everywhere the whole evening? No, of course not. But there will be a lot more coverage of storms on the radar to track Friday evening and Thursday relative to what we've had for the last couple of days. So Gabrielle could form over the weekend. I'll show you much more about that coming up in the next half hour. But tomorrow, mostly dry. Humidity comes up a little bit later this week. So do the chances for rain, back to about 60%, and will stay there as we head into the early part of next week.
Rain over the weekend. That's usual for this time of year for here. Bigger issue is, let me get out of that so I can go to the next one. Bigger issue for that is the storm, which the network that I listen to down here said the same thing, that they don't think it's going to turn into anything for us. Doesn't mean
Ask him if he touched the gun during the first interview, or was he only asked if he touched the gun during?
I don't know what the hell that was. We're trying to get the story on the Powerball. Florida Powerball player in Pensacola won $1 million on September 1st, drawing with a quick pick ticket. 3 other players in the state each won $150,000 by matching 4 numbers and the Powerball with the power play option. It's not going down. There we go. And let's go a little bigger because you don't need that side there. 9 additional Florida tickets matched 4 numbers plus a Powerball for $50,000 each. But here's the bigger thing with, let's see, it was for Monday's drawing. The next one I think is estimated 1.3. It was actually about 1.4 last night, going up to 1.7. Was last won on May 31st. That's why it's so high in California. Since then, no one has won the jackpot, causing the winnings to roll over. Largest one ever was $1.326 billion back in April of 2024. That jackpot ballooned after 42 consecutive drawings. The winning ticket was ultimately sold in Oregon, according to a news release. Here's your odds. The odds of winning the Powerball jackpot, matching all 5 numbers, and the Powerball, are 1 in 292.2 million. So out of 292.2 million times that you draw these numbers, that's the one time that you're going to win it. But somebody's got to. You got to play to win. Sitting on the sidelines doesn't get you an MVP. Get you a Stanley Cup ring or Super Bowl ring, but not the MVP. Odds of winning $1 million, matching all 5 numbers, are 1 in 11 million, 11.6 million. Overall odds of winning anything are 1 in 24.87. So out of 25 times playing the Powerball, you win something. Maybe it's a free ticket, $2 or whatever. Yeah. I mean, you sit and dream, right? And actually, there's another one that's big now too. Not as, but yeah, they have it at 1.7 billion. I mean, think of that. The cash value is almost $1 billion. Wow. A little over 2 days. And then here's where the mega is at. I don't usually do this. I think you all know that. But yeah, did you see what I typed? Dude, I think I'm dyslexic. I type shit backwards all the time. So for the same reason, this rolls over too. Tuesday was 9.2 was the last one. Yeah, there we go. 336 million. And that's usually, where it's at. These were the first 2 to roll over this high. State lotteries, which have fewer players, don't get the action. for those in Australia and throughout the world trying to figure this out, we have this thing. It's a nationwide lottery, 2 of them. One is called the Powerball. The other is called Mega Millions. And most states in the United States take part in it. So that gives a bigger draw, higher jackpots, higher other prizes, and just allows for more people to win and win big. I mean, still, I wouldn't say, no, you don't. I don't want the $1 million. I want the 336 million. I'll play it again. No, I'll take $1 million. Yeah, I'm not going to change my life other than I'm going to pay off my house. My parents' house already paid off, so that's taken care of. There's an empty lot next door to me. I might try to buy that quietly without anybody knowing that I won that $1 million. And, see what we can do. But, so the Powerball is at 1.7. Is the highest U.S. jackpot. Fifth largest in history at 1.3. That was from 12 hours ago. Okay. Where's the highest jackpot in the USA? Oh, it went to 2 billion. No shit. All right. Can you guys, oh, well, my ugly face is over top of it. Here it is. It's up here. There you go. There's the top. So, November 7th of 2022, 3 years ago, it had 2.04 billion. Here's what they got. Someone named Castro bought the ticket that matched all 5 numbers plus the Powerball from Joe's Service Center in Altadena. I know where that is. Altadena, California. Declining to appear on camera, Castro claimed his prize on February 14th, 2023, Valentine's Day, and received a check from the California Lottery for $997.6 million during a press conference. Edwin Castro is the winner of the $2.04 billion Powerball back in November 3 years ago. 2 years ago was 1.765 billion, and that's about where we're at right now. 1.7. Those are the top 10 Powerballs, though. I don't know if that has Mega Millions in with it as well. Because there's some pretty hot Mega Millions drawings that did well also. And then it wasn't until back in 2016, January of 2016, that the lucky 13th, that we had a 1.586 billion in the Powerball. See, mega instead of mega. Highest jackpot for the Mega Millions was 1.6. See if they got a breakdown here. There you go. Yeah. Mega Millions just didn't seem to hit as high. Mega Millions highest was 1.6. and then 1.3s and 1.2s, rounding that out. Those are much more frequently, though, or much more recent, rather. Fourth largest ever for the 1.4. So now we're up to at least third place. And it won't be till we break 2.04 till we become number one. All right, what's next? Trump. Oh, Trump did he dump? So all kinds, you've seen all kinds of rollbacks in the Trump administration's housing. In the budget, rather, not just housing, but everything. And now we did a story yesterday about how Democrats are rallying in the state to try to push back and at least raise the awareness that this ain't going to happen overnight. And I think I would hope Democrats are smart enough to realize that, even if they don't say it in public forums, to at least say it in executive sessions or something behind closed doors, where they've got some sort of privacy. Not that they need to keep it away from the people, which they would obviously actually need to do, because if they share that with the people, then they're sharing it with Republicans, who we would also hope are far enough ahead to realize, here's what you're going to do to take over the state. And it's actually happening slowly. There's a transition, as is with so many states. You can be as conservative as you want. I'm all for it. Thump that Bible, if that's what you think. And I'm a person of faith and spirituality and Christianity. I'm just not religious. Huge difference. And I believe in the Second Amendment. I don't know why believing in any of the amendments is a conservative thing, but I believe in the Second Amendment. Unlike so many of my other fellow 2A barrel suckers, I also believe in the other 9 amendments to the Bill of Rights, but that doesn't affect them yet, so they don't need it. And the cutbacks that this guy's done, USAID, HIV, so many things, universities, anti-woke, whatever. It's taken a toll. And he thinks that he's got the best presidency in history. Dude is without question a legend in his own mind and in the minds of sheep. That's it. That's it. You can stop there. That is it. So, in a move that has drawn sharp criticism from housing experts, the Trump administration in July disbanded a key federal task force. Here's the other thing, the Doge thing that's cutting and is actually causing more waste than what it's prevented or ended. Disbanded a key federal task force designed to address racial bias in home appraisals. Why would he care about that? He's white. All his friends are white. All the people running, Scott and Tim Scott, and they're just his bitches. Byron Donaldson, that's why I call him Uncle Byron, because he's down here in Florida working for the white man, screwing his own people. Sorry if that hurts your pussy when I say that, but you folks need to hear the truth. I'm seeing it every day. And now this douchebag wants to be our governor. Like, fuck. So the Property Appraisal and Valuation Equity Task Force, or PAVE, which was launched in 2021 by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, had coordinated multiple agencies to tackle systemic discrimination in property evaluations. A South Florida housing expert told WLRN, the network that we're getting this from, does PBS and NPR, told WLRN the administration's action ignores a long-standing hurdle for minority homebuyers who now face an uncertain future. Quote, to have this task force to be able to coordinate and integrate this and focus very much into the systemic aspects of the issue of appraisal bias or discrimination was really important, said Ned Murray, Associate Director of Florida International University's Jorge M. Perez Metropolitan Center. Murray was the lead author of a first-of-its-kind 2023 study on racial inequities in home ownership in Palm Beach County. He found that even after controlling for income, education, and neighborhood quality, significant racial disparities in property values persist. Murray pointed to historical segregation policies that have left physical and economic scars on the community, including unfair government actions and discriminatory zoning and lending practices. We made it very clear in Palm Beach County Equity Study the long history of segregation. The Black communities remain separate physically in many ways. The visual and structural disparities, Murray said, often lead to lower home appraisals in majority Black neighborhoods, impacting both property values and long-term wealth. You begin to see a real lack of public infrastructure that devalues properties too, because investors and lenders see that. The White House has argued that socioeconomic factors, not race and racial segregation, drive disparities in home values. By tearing down the onerous hurdles, we're freeing professionals from a tangle of red tape that drove up costs, inhibited access to ownership, and discouraged market participation, said HUD Secretary Scott Turner in a statement in early July. Murray strongly disputes the administration's argument. Yeah, I lived in a Black neighborhood in D.C. because it's where I could afford the house. That neighborhood, or that house in other neighborhoods, which weren't called white, they were called up and coming. They were called regentrified, meaning lower income, especially in DC, Black people had been bought out of their own homes and pushed further out of the city. When I bought my house in DC in 2007 for $429,000, $529,000, something like that. It was a deal comparing to what I was able to sell my one-bedroom condo for in downtown San Francisco. Roughly the same price. Quadrupled my number of bedrooms. Doubled my parking spots for off-street parking. Doubled the number of kitchens I had. I had a kitchen in my basement, full kitchen. Refrigerator, kitchen, dishwasher, everything. And then that sold. I sold that for like $650. And it just sold last year for over $1 million. They're going to count that as 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 2 kitchens. Nice place. When I moved there, I remember specifically there were 7 crack houses, 7 empty, abandoned homes, boarded up, that were just waiting to be developed, to include the one right behind me across the alleyway. Because I was pretty close to a corner, so that side street connected the alleyway that paralleled the street that I lived on. The house across the alley from me that was listed on the side street for the longest time was vacant before I moved there and even after I moved there. That became a 3-unit condo or apartment building. There was a 3-unit directly across the street from me on that corner. The multiple unit across the street from that on that corner. So I was a couple doors off the southwest corner of the intersection, and the 2 abandoned buildings were on the east side, north and southeast. And then on the northwest was an elementary school. All the more reason to develop, right? A historic home and the empty lot that was attached to it and behind it became like a 14-unit condo building to include the home. The home was actually connected to it, and it was made into a 2-unit somehow. And it was the front of it was left because of the historic value, but I think they think that the home was what was known as the Warder, Warder mansion. Who was one of the first investors in Howard University, which was right down the street from where I lived. I don't think it's actually the Warder mansion, based on some research I did. But there again, black neighborhood, nobody really cared. So Murray strongly disputes the administration's argument that it's about money, not about race. No, it doesn't, he said bluntly. When we're talking about very specific lending discrimination and appraisal discrimination, that's clear data that supports that. Murray cites studies by Freddie Mac, Brookings Institution, an independent research nonprofit, and his own research, all confirming that black communities face disproportionate obstacles to building credit and equity. There are barriers rooted in decades of exclusionary policies and redlining. Discriminatory housing practice from the 1930s that labeled minority neighborhoods as high risk, denying residents fair access to mortgages, loans, and insurance. The practice persisted until 1968, when the Fair Housing Act was passed, making housing discrimination based on race illegal, at least on paper. Home values are strongly linked to persistent wealth gaps, access to resources, and residential segregation. Palm Beach County is home to some more than 255,000 black residents, representing nearly 12% of the population, according to the report, which uses the latest U.S. Census Bureau data. The largest black communities are in West Palm Beach, Boynton Beach, and Riviera Beach. The Palm Beach County Housing Equity Study was conceived on the back of a $200 million bond approved last year to build 20,000 affordable and workforce housing units to address the county's dire housing crisis. It noted, for example, that 30% of the renters were severely cost burdened, meaning they spent more than half their income on housing. That's what I'm doing now, thanks to the insurance that DeSantis said he was going to fix. With PAVE rolled back, Murray worries enforcement of fair housing laws will weaken, especially at the already unresourced Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I mean, that was one of the cuts. Murray emphasized the CFPB's key role in holding lenders accountable, noting it has returned $17.5 billion to consumers since 2010. He warned its future and that of fair housing enforcement is now uncertain. It's really the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that is really the lead agency holding financial institutions accountable for predatory practices. The concern would be what's the future of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and other agencies that oversee lending. Yeah, and that's just one. On a bigger scale,
former President Bill Clinton spotted traveling with a
yes, we know. So I don't think that, I got to talk to my buddy Eric about that. I don't think that's his. I think that's the details. We all travel with one. The high stakes political fistfight between Republicans and Democrats over constitutional redistricting ahead of next year's midterm elections shifted to a new battleground this week. A special session in Missouri's legislature to redraw the solidly red state's congressional districts and give the GOP control of one additional House seat kicked off Wednesday with public hearings scheduled for Thursday. Missouri's conservative common sense values should be truly represented at all levels of government, and the Missouri First map delivers just that, Republican Governor Mike Kehoe argued as he announced the special session and unveiled a proposed map. Kehoe's move came hours after GOP Governor Greg Abbott of Texas on Friday signed into law a redistricting bill passed by the Republican supermajority in the state legislature that aims to create up to 5 right-leaning congressional districts at the expense of currently Democrat-controlled seats in the reliably red state. I don't know if they're going to say it in here. Probably not, because it's Fox, and that would hurt their agenda. And this is more of a national story than just what's happening in Texas. But here's something I want you to know about. Well, I don't think we need with the Powerball stuff. That's going to change by the next show anyway. Voter registration. In Texas by party. Texas voter registration statistics. Watch this. Total Democrats in the state of Texas, 8.1 million. Total Republicans, 6.6 million. In Texas, voters do not register by party. However, when those voters participate in a partisan primary, that ballot choice is recorded and then reported to the state voter file. In the absence of strong indications, partisan political contributions or identification due to the holding of a public office, the most recent even-year partisan primary ballot is used. Texas reports participation in presidential primaries in which large percentages vote, particularly in the Republican races. In the absence of any even-year partisan primary participation, the most recent odd-year local partisan primary is used. This information is supplemented through the use of modeling analytics. Likely race in major urban areas plays a major role in that modeling. So, of the essential, the feel of the state, 46% are Democrats. Of those 2.7 million who are unaffiliated, independent, you would need almost all of them to outdo the Democratic movement. That being said, Republicans control the state, and that is because of gerrymandering. And when they create these districts, what they did was they took seats that are areas that are controlled by Democratic candidates because it's a predominantly Democratic area. And they split, this is called redistricting, is the official term. Sometimes it's legal, sometimes it's necessary. It's supposed to be done every 10 years in coordination with the U.S. Census. That's what determines how many representatives you've got to Congress. And that's how states win and lose representatives, by the increase and decrease of their population when compared to the rest of the United States. So it's not just because a state increases in population. Other states have to significantly decrease as well, not just because babies are being born, but because people are moving from one state to another, or people in some states are not having families the way they are in another. And this is very much where racial segregation and discrimination comes into play. Because those brown people are pumping them out like a factory. And God love them. I wish I was getting that much. Anyway, we take the Democratic district and we draw a line through it, cutting that district in half and giving half of it to the one Republican area that's next door, that has more Republicans than Democrats that it's getting and that it's had. And then we cut off corners of those same two Republican districts, and we replace this Democratic district that's here with a Republican district that's up here. And as a result, these new districts look like a monster. The first one to do that was a Republican Republican governor of Massachusetts named Eldridge Gerry. And the one district that he created by doing this looked like a salamander. Hence the name gerrymander. As you probably know, at least on the U.S. scene, I can tell those international listeners and viewers as well, Massachusetts has long since fallen to the Democratic Party. And when I say fallen, I mean that the former ruling class was kicked out. I'm not saying if it's good or bad. I'm saying ultimately the people won that out. I think there's a plan in place by the Democratic Party in Texas to do the same thing, not only from fighting and fighting legal challenges and creating the lawsuits necessary to allege and to prove the discrimination that's involved based on party and not based on the will of the people. I don't know that they'll be able to prove things, the discrimination so much on party, so much as I think it will still, Republican versus Democrat, fall well enough along racial lines that they'll be able to say this was racial discrimination and not anything done for the betterment of the state of Texas. Not to mention that this is done in 2025, only 5 years into the most recent census. Now, keep in mind, there's nothing against the law for redistricting. However, there's no precedent. There is also no precedent for a president, which is what happened, and nobody's denying this, for a president to call the governor and essentially give him the order, because that's what happened. Greg Abbott is Trump's bitch. Trump takes that wheelchair and sends it wherever he wants it to go. It's on a remote straight from the Oval Office. And this is just another example of what Abbott does for him. The wall was another. And the shit sandwich that Abbott caused with the Rio Grande River and people drowning in the Rio Grande River because of him not being able to get out of his wheelchair or not wanting to. So Abbott just willy-nilly taking this and there's nothing against the law preventing Greg Abbott from doing that. Nothing against the law from him from redistricting the lines in an off year, as in not in conjunction with every 10-year census, and nothing against the law with him creating these gerrymandered districts. Nowhere is it actually against the law. It's against the law for him to discriminate based on the protected classes, but not just based on numbers, which is what entails in a district. Each district needs to be an equal amount of citizens so that there's equal representation as far as one representative to the House to X number of people. Unfortunately, for those people in the rural farming areas where you own 2 or 3 miles of property one way, and your next neighbor is 4 miles down your driveway, and another 16 miles the other direction is your next neighbor. That's a lot of going door to door. That's a lot of effort when it's come time to sell hoagies for the baseball team or Girl Scout cookies. And when you're a representative to Congress, that's a very large area for you to cover. Where if your district is in downtown Houston or Dallas, your X number of people are within a few blocks. And when any of those, in this case, Democratic voters, are centralized, the thing that they might have going for them is that a lot of these districts that may have been split have not only been split by political party, which is not a protected class, but may have been split by race and socioeconomic characteristics, which are protected classes. And so hopefully this map that's coming out now is going to be challenged. What that other story was saying, to make a long story short, is that, and it really, when he said, I wonder if his actual speech is on here. I mean, look, there he is, giving the salute. I know he's just waving, but I don't think I kind of think they know that what it looks like. I'm wondering if, I'm wondering if his speech is a part of the story. I don't see it. This guy here is the asshole governor of Missouri. And this just goes to show, this was so disgusting. This just goes to show that the shit that these people believe. I was listening to the beginning of his speech. I had to turn it off. I was so disgusted because he talks about doing the right thing and how he prayed on it. And he prayed so hard on what to do. You know that's bullshit. That dude, those hands, look at those crusty hands. They have not been together in prayer since he was a boy. Because no one would take what they're doing. This is, you people wonder why I say that the Republican Party overall, the MAGA wing of it, which is the whole plane, is fascist. Not because of that wave or whatever he's doing there, but because of the fact that he's in the news right now in the first place. And why? Nobody has ever redistricted off an election year, off of a census year. Now there's 2 states that are doing it, forcing Democratic-held blue states to do the same thing. Personally, I'm opposed to any gerrymandering. I think it should all be done by an impartial committee. And I think there should be a geographic formula that if you're growing a zone by county, no county should be split. That's why county lines are drawn. And if you're growing a zone by county and you move west, it should also be able to move south before another county to the west gets added. Yeah, it should grow proportionately in each of these directions. And grow such that the larger portions, the rural areas, are as confined as possible. How is a representative supposed to cover some of the districts that are in Texas that are larger than some other states? Granted, senators are responsible for the entire state, no matter how big it is. That's why there's only 2. And that's why the Senate is called the upper chamber, because it is a little bit more elite and is not necessarily your first level of communication. The representative to the House is. But when you draw these lines that are ridiculous, our very own Matt Deemer in Ohio was faced with one of the largest districts, was running in one of the largest districts in his state. Why? Because it was gerrymandered. It was created by one party to disenfranchise the voters of another. And then this is what happens. You have people like this, and this guy's from Missouri, to be clear, in situations like this, where by population, he's actually in the lesser party. Now, Missouri, I don't think that's the case. But there are plenty of others. All right. You know what? I didn't take any breaks today. And I know that I should start doing that more often too. So let me I do get to take a break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at some more Trump news. And Kennedy is testifying today on the Hill. Which one was it? There we go. All right. Oh, no, those are both of those. There we go. This is Up the Middle on the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back after these words. I think. There we go. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off. You can scream. You can yell. And you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum at Momentum Fitness and Wellness. All right. Now check this out. See where I had it. There we go. Canton Branch. Talked about this earlier this week. This is one of their products. This is, oh, this even smells good. This is a bourbon smoker. Right here is the recipe for an old fashioned. A teaspoon of sugar, dashes of bitters, a teaspoon of water. That's basically simple syrup, bourbon, and smoke. Well, I don't drink bourbon or any other whiskey. It's just the thing. However, as you all know, I am a rum guy. So what we're going to do, set this on top. I'll show you the video of this in a second. Take the wood chips that come with your kit. This is maple flavored wood. Take this pinch of wood chips and put it on the screen in the center of that smoker. And now watch this. Get a mat out here so you can see this. All right. There we go. Cocktail. Cigar torch. Cocktail underneath. Wood chips in the screen. The torch and the energy from the flame of the torch pushes the smoke down to the screen into the cocktail, smoking the inside of the glass and flavoring the cocktail. Now, here is a sugar-based cocktail, rum, that now has a maple flavor. You a bourbon guy?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, I love old fashions.
That's exactly what this is for.
That's good. Big fan of a smoky old fashioned. Big fan.
I'll have to get you, because here's what is on the other side. Check this out.
Yeah, you basically just showed us all a old fashioned bong, and
Yeah. And now, oh wow,
somebody's gonna be going a little night here in a little bit. Then afternoon nap.
Actually, I slept in today. Oh, that's so good. I'm gonna get you one of these made, and instead of on the back or on the one side, it's saying Mastiff.media. I'm gonna get dailycryptonews.net.
There you go. That'd be fun.
With like a DCN coin or something.
There you go.
All right.
Yell, and you won't be intimidated either. The mental fitness partners of US 19, gain that point right in the state. Building momentum fitness. All right. Canton Branch. One of it.
All right, gang. So Kennedy. Hold on, let me get rid of the puppy potty break there. There we go. We're back. Puppies have been out. I've been out. Although, maybe not out, but you know what I mean. You know what? I haven't tried the phones today. And I'm just going to take that off because what other news updates we got running here? There we go. Leave that one going. Our news. There we go. Leave that one going. Good deal. All right. Just no phones today just because you sons of bitches don't call anyway. And I gotta figure out what's wrong with some of these settings that constantly keep going back to things that I don't have set as the default. And the default changes. Like, why does that happen? I've been turning on my soundboard at the beginning of each, and those numbers are still going back and forth. And I've listened to some of the other platforms. Everything sounds fine. What's Ken saying? Is that him? Yeah. Oh, Ken calls sometimes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I got to be out of here in 15 minutes today. Matt's on a voice thing. I think he's still traveling. Let's do that. Let's hear Matt's voice message. Let's see, go on this one. Go to Facebook. Well, my friend's son went to somewhere to try out for a 6 and under baseball team. I guess it's baseball. Kind of late for that. Yeah, but it's yeah, she says baseball. That goes for a couple of minutes before he's sent over to another field to try for the B team of 8 and under, the older kids. And they say, yeah, no, he needs to be able to the A team, 8 and under. Wow, good for him. Playing with the older kids. That's what makes you better. Now I got to... What was I going to do? Matt Deemer. Yeah, here we go. Here's 7 seconds of my co-host for tomorrow. Tell him he's probably not going to be here tomorrow either.
Hello, sir. I'm back tomorrow, so let me know what the topics are.
Cool. All right. Matt's back tomorrow. Friday fights. We'll type a bet for the Guardians Rays series. I got to see. I should have probably saw where they're at right now. Rays schedule. The 69 and 69 Cleveland Guardians play tonight at the 70 and 69 Tampa Bay Rays. I thought they started yesterday, though. Let me check my personal calendar where it was at. Let's go to that. We'll take a look at my other calendar. Bring in this one. Oh. Google Calendar. Here we go. Yesterday was the Mariners at the Rays. Okay. So the Guardians are here through the weekend. Through Saturday at least. Let's see what are we gonna and Sunday. So it's a 4-game through the weekend. Four games through the weekend. So if we do a bet and it's a split on the games, then we go to runs. And if that's a tie, Jesus Christ. If runs scored is a tie, then runs allowed obviously will be a tie. Then I guess ERA, who has the lowest ERA for the series. Yeah, so that's it there. And then they go on the road to the White Sox and the Cubs up in Chicago, Tuesday through Saturday. That's nice when you get to knock 2 series out and you're there for almost a week. That can't be bad. Yeah, certain aspects I miss baseball and miss professional sports in general because I was also in hockey. But other things I'm sometimes almost glad didn't work out. I shouldn't say that. I don't want to say that, but to an extent, I've got to be honest. Hey, David. David Hanna 747. Wonder if he's a pilot. Also, still taking a look at what to possibly do with monetizing. I'm looking at other accounts, other people, what they offer. Today's show seems a little less organized, and it's because I'm leaving Sportcat's coming on in the next 5 minutes. It'll be a quick hello and goodbye with him. I'm going to change clothes and take care of my dogs and get them ready for an afternoon alone. And then I'm going to be leaving and going to a press conference in Pasco County that is hosted hosted by the sheriff's office, where Sheriff Chris Nacco will be speaking on, and all we know so far, although it's been told by their public information officer, is that it's on public or human trafficking. We'll see if there's anything more about that. And we'll get to Kennedy in a second. I know we only got a little bit left, but I wonder if he replied. Jesus. Okay. Coursera, Media Relations, Pasco County News Release, the Pasco Libraries. That's not what I'm going for. Easily brief, pitch for an event. Aaron Parnas. That's for our department. Yeah, nothing since human trafficking and sexual battery arrest. Sheriff Chris Nacco will be discussing a human trafficking and sexual battery arrest at a news conference today at 3 p.m. The conference will be at Pasco Sheriff's Office Media Room, located at 10327 Charles Bow Harrison Way, Land O'Lakes, Building F. And what I'm going to be doing, getting the hell out of here after taking care of the dogs. It's only a half-hour ride, but I've not been to this place yet. And, as such, I want to leave a little time stop and get some lunch before or after. I don't know. But that's the wrong one. All right, so let's add Kennedy. Oh, you know what? He was been in the Google search. That's where I first saw that anyway. He did Fox plenty of times today. Let's take CNN. Sport Cat will jump on and see that we got CNN on. RFK is grilled on healthcare policies in contentious Senate hearing. We're not going to put that live because, one thing I agree with Blake Fisher about is that so much of this is for show. If a lot of these hearings were behind closed doors, I think you would get a lot more bipartisan conversation and less grandstanding and saber rattling. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is testifying in a heated hearing before Senate committee. Kennedy said the recent shakeups at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which included the ousting of the CDC director, were absolutely necessary. That's all we're getting. Republican Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming, who is a physician, said during today's Senate committee hearing that he's grown increasingly worried about Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s stance on vaccines and the potential erosion of public trust in health agencies. I support vaccines. I'm a doctor. Vaccines work, Barrasso said. Secretary Kennedy, in your confirmation hearing, you promised to uphold the highest standards for vaccines. Since then, I've grown deeply concerned. The public has seen measles outbreaks, leadership in the National Institute of Health questioning the use of RNA vaccines, the recently confirmed director of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention fired. Americans don't know who to rely on. I exit with that. Barrasso said polling shows a majority of President Trump's supporters would like vaccine recommendations to come from trained physicians, scientists, and public health experts. Barrasso pressed Kennedy to outline the steps he was taking to ensure vaccine guidance is clear, evidence-based, and trustworthy. I don't know why this keeps... If I just stopped it that way. There. Kennedy responded by claiming that his department was going to ensure those things for the first time in history. Meanwhile, they've been eliminated for the first time in history. Oh, wow. By requiring all new vaccines to undergo safety testing against an inherent placebo before they can be licensed and approved. What do you think they do? Like, what does he seriously think that was going on before he came in and screwed shit up? He also said HHS would go back to existing vaccines to do observational studies to see if they're linked to any of the chronic disease epidemics. Like measles, yeah, it's linked. So put it back in so that people can understand the risk profile of those products, make good assessments for their own health. Like, yes, you should have a measles vaccine. This is awesome. Our Secretary for Health and Human Services doesn't know how many people died of COVID-19. I'm not the secretary, but I think it's around 2 million U.S. U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said he doesn't know how many Americans died from COVID-19. Do you accept the fact that 1 million Americans died from COVID? Democratic Senator Mark Warner of Virginia asked Kennedy in the hearing. I don't know how many died, Kennedy said, adding that he doesn't think that anyone knows because of data chaos coming out of the CDC. Let me show you some data chaos. Right here in good old Florida, we were the ground zero before I got here, or I would have fixed things. We were the ground zero for COVID in the United States. This is something that I've received from when I was a COVID coordinator for the Secret Service at Los Angeles field office. The history of it came from when a New York attorney flew down to Miami and met with an Iranian client who had the virus. They meet for a meeting at Miami International Airport. The meeting ends, shake hands, go their separate ways, each flying back to their respective countries. Contaminated, contagious, and doesn't know it. Not to mention contact with the people in Miami at an airport where many people that they'll be in contact with are coming into a major city or leaving from it, likely to other major city airports. Then this attorney goes back to New York, again, with the virus, and contaminates people there. Think of your favorite social media post being shared multiple times. Hence the phrase going viral. We had plenty of cases here in Florida. However, Ronnie said that if there is a person who is here as a snowbird, and this is not their state of residence, then the statistic counts for their state that is their home state. Well, that may make sense. Where's Sportcat at? It's after 1 o'clock. Oh, there he is. I didn't hear him jump on. Dude, I didn't hear you jump on.
I've been here for about 10 minutes. I was wondering if you're going to let me do a show today.
You jumped on during my puppy potty break.
I don't know. So you were ranting something about some Republican you hated or something. I don't know. You were ranting about some stupid shit, so I don't know. Hey. I don't know why I got an echo.
My sound is fine. Let me see if this does it. If you can hear me, hang tight.
I can hear you. I'm here. I can hear you. Now I can't hear you. Yeah, now I can't hear you. You're mute. Our relationship is better this way. I still got an echo. Hold on. Let me try this. Does that do anything? Did that turn it off? How's that? Is that better? I'm just going to start drinking while you ignore me. You look like a fish in a fish tank. I don't know what the hell you're doing.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah. My system, I don't know why it's doing this, but Wave Browser is coming in and out and that's you.
You've got two.
And it's done this before. I never remember how to fix it.
You've got two MS.
But I need to go to
Windows,
a
Microsoft Edge. You've got two Microsoft Edge windows open. That's why.
I can't hear you because it keeps cutting you off and it keeps muting you.
I don't know.
I just want to try to find the volume mixer for Edge. Keeps get putting down.
You should mute it if you've got more than one Edge open.
I don't know why. That's not Wave browser. Yeah, see, this is the one that
you've got multiple Microsoft applications running under Microsoft Edge.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
It's still doing this. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
If I hold my finger on it, I think it's going to not. The volume keeps just going down to 0 and back up. It keeps bouncing. Anytime you try to talk, it keeps bouncing. And I don't know what the hell's causing it this time.
I don't know.
But anyway, I got to run. So it's your show.
Yeah. I got a show to do. So
yep.
Let's kick this pig. Let's get it rolling.
Yeah. We'll talk more about Kennedy tomorrow. That's it. And we'll talk about Sheriff Chris Nacco and whatever big announcement he's got, because I'm headed there to cover that right now.
You going to run for sheriff?
No, I probably should, but no, I'm done.
You should.
I am done.
You should run as a Democrat. You'd get elected. So
yeah. Right.
Well, you can't say you're a Republican if anybody listens to your shows.
Well, that's why, a friend of mine and I were saying, why don't I go back to ICE and be on one of these, knuckleheads that is running for or is being rehired by ICE.
Yeah, you get like a $50K sign-on bonus. Do it, man. I would have.
There are more than 100,000 applicants.
Yeah, and did you see their police academy or whatever you all call it?
Yeah, it's the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. I was there.
Well, no, they've changed it severely. It's because they're trying to make sure everybody's in fit shape now. They're doing this in the military too. It's a new fitness initiative push because there's too many cops and firemen and military people having a heart attack from being old and fat like me and you. Yeah. And so they're trying to prevent it. The new people are going through an extremely grueling, even going to the fire academy, physical agility. Not only just a test, but training. And then yearly, you're going to have to, I think starting in 2026, unless you're over a certain age, you'll have to go through a yearly physical fitness evaluation test, which is something they were doing in the fire service. And my department hadn't adopted it yet. And so I was getting out, so it didn't matter. But a lot of departments are doing it now. You got to be able to run like a mile in 13 minutes and do so many push-ups and that's just the fire side. I don't know about the police side, but yeah, they're changing all that to try and make us all healthier. So it's a good thing. It's just a pain in the ass.
We had to do that my whole career, and it never worked.
Yeah. Well, it'll work for a couple years, and then it'll they've done this before, and it'll work for like 5 to 8 years, and then it'll start teetering out because you'll get the young people will start getting promoted up into admin. They're like, yeah, we don't want to do this bullshit anymore. So they'll start phasing it out.
Yeah.
It happens. So, but yeah, you should do it, man. 50K sign-on bonus, free college education. There's all kinds of perks. They're recruiting paramedics too. I would probably do it if I wasn't old and fat and out of the game. So if I got the radio, or no, I can't take the radio till you're done. So
yeah, and I put on the thing that on the phone now. No, not on the phone now. More information news. Oh, is it all the way down here? God damn it. Preview. How did I do it? I just put the font thing that says, up next. Or no, there it is on the phone now. Now, where is it? It should be right there. No, I did this before. I created another thing and I typed the whole thing into the title instead of typing the title and then putting the font in. So here we go. On the phone now. Glenn. I don't know why it starts with the font that big too.
You're compensating.
Yeah. Yeah. Sportcat Daily. Does Gazette have 1 Z or 2?
1. Stop.
Yeah, you gotta look. It's your show.
Stop asking me math questions, damn it. It's too early.
Properties. Select font.
Last night, I don't know if you were listening, but I used Google Voice for the first time for an extended interview, and it worked remarkably well. He was in a remote location. He had poor cell signal, but other than that, it worked great. I was kind of impressed. So I may use that some more.
That is my back end number, my celebrity line.
Me too. Me too.
I don't publish that number. I've got a WhatsApp now. I've got 2 toll-free numbers, and I got a number from Australia. And I still can't get.
Show me how to do a WhatsApp number. I don't know how to do that, so you'll have to show me.
You download the app.
Got it.
You need a number that you can. I'll talk to you a little bit offline about it because there's some sneaky things that. But the nice thing about it is you can turn it on and off, and limit it to your show and so on.
Cool. Hey, have you? By the way, I want to ask you, and I'm going to probably mention this a little bit on my show. Did you see the new YouTube updates that you have to agree to by having an account?
No, don't think so.
Well, you probably won't like them because you're basically agreeing for them to take your video, your content, and turn it into AI using your image and likeness, and they can change it how they see fit. Yeah, that's going to be contested in court. Yep. I'm telling you the truth. They can take your video, and if they don't like what you're saying, like if they, if I'm going on a positive Trump story, he did something good today, they can take my video and my image and my likeness and flip it around and change it to what they want it to be. It's a true story.
No, that's the point, is that they've done that to me for anti-Trump things. I believe I'm being shadow banned because some of the headlines that I've been using for the thumbnails, I very intentionally made somewhat clickbaitish, or at least much more relevant to the show.
Yeah, they will change. Well, AI reads your thumbnail, and they will change it as they see fit. So yeah, that's the new rules. Good times. It's like I live in a socialist country or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I have my own website. That's why I will be going live on Shorts for YouTube.
Shorts is where they're doing it most.
That's fine. What are they going to change? Hey, up the middle today at 11. See you there. What are you going to change there?
Got me. I don't know. It's just a new agreement, and a lot of social media or YouTube creators are really up in arms about it, as they should be. So, because they're saying it's not press, so we don't have freedom. It's a corporation. That's basically their argument. So we're not media. We just get on here because we like to talk to each other. I mean, I like you and all, but that's not the reason. So
yeah, here's the thing. I don't like you that much.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have my days with you.
Yeah,
you're like a hemorrhoid. I'm glad when you're gone. When you're there, you're my pain in the ass that I kind of miss. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If people didn't know better, they would swear we didn't like each other.
I know. Yeah. I kind of. You remember you said you suggested that that one guy I start picking a fight with, so we do like our radio fight with some other content creator. We should just do that with you and me. We should put some show between us so we don't have to engage directly, because that would screw it up. It would be out of the bag right away.
Yeah.
It would be like, hey, dude, what's on your show today? I mean, hey, fucking asshole, what do you got going on today, dick? And try to cover.
That's right. That's right. We could put Benny Johnson in between us. We can both equally dislike him.
Dude, yeah. There is somebody that is just way too full of themselves for their own good.
But yet he gets the views. I don't get it.
Yeah, because can you just imagine who his actual fans are?
He's got like 1 million, so I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people.
That visual? Do you really want that visual?
I just want the paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I got to try to. I did an open letter to independent media before, telling them this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And that they need to come to Yerg's Radio. The progressives need to come to Forward Radio. The regressives, the Republicans, need to come to Right Talk Radio and have a safe space.
I keep sending you people, but they listen to you and they say he's way too angry for me. I'm like, you just got to know him. So, it's true. It's true. I've said Democrats, so I'm like, you got to check him out. And yeah, he's a little too angry for me. I'm like, holy shit, he's too angry for a Democrat. Wow. And I defend you. So
that's saying something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dude, I from 2 years ago, when I first said my asshole statement, till now, I think I mellowed out. That what I call the asshole statement is, you can be a conservative, you can be a Republican, and I go think a little bit, and I look into the camera and go, and not be an asshole.
Agreed.
That went pretty viral. And the other one was, you no longer have to be able to spell Google to be able to use it.
Yeah. It reminds me of my doctor had a mug sitting on his desk that said something about your Google degree doesn't trump his
medical
college degree or something. Yeah, it was something like it. And he would sit there and sip it basically with his feet up while he was listening to the client say that Google told him they had AIDS cancer.
My doctor in LA had a sign on his wall, something like that. I think, don't confuse your Google search with my medical degree.
Yeah. And I would just laugh. I'm like, did they not even see this? He's like, I don't think so. So, yeah.
All right, everybody. Sportcat is up next with Sportcat's Daily Gazette. I am off to a press conference and to walk and feed the pups. And then I will be back tomorrow with Matt Deemer. And we'll probably be starting our feud with the Guardians and Rays series that begins tonight here in Tampa.
Oh.
And yeah, big 4-game homestand here for the Rays. Right now, Guardians are coming in at 69 and 69, and the Rays are 70 and 69.
Hey, they're 1 over 500.
Yeah, this between the two, this could actually be a good series.
I have not watched a baseball game seriously in probably 2 years, and I used to be an avid fan, but the Braves started sucking so bad, and I was like, I've done this with the Orioles before. I'm done.
Well, you know what it was for me, having scored, I think, I think I had like a 99 or 100 on my score or my test for umpire school. and having been a minor league umpire and having really mastered the professional rule book, I look at the shit that pitchers are doing today, and I'm like, that's a balk. That's a balk. That's a balk. This guy just walked 3 times.
Yeah, by old rules, yes. Yes.
And I'm like, I can't keep it. Same thing with hockey. You know, some of the, like the 2-line pass that's no longer there. But now, what the hell is it? In overtime, they start with 3-on-3.
That's weird.
And instead of, if the referee calls a penalty on you, you go to the box, but your team refills you with another player so that you're still 3-on-3, but the other team gets a player back. So there's still a man advantage. And now it's 4-on-3. But they've taken most of the skaters off the ice to create more room and hopefully influence their chances of a goal happening in overtime and not leaving the game with a tie. So it's just so much. Can we just go back to playing hockey and baseball?
Yes.
Baseball was not meant to be fast. That's why it's at the park, not a stadium.
So they call it a park. You're right. And you used to have to, well, you didn't have to, but you could sit there with the, what was it, pencil and paper and do the scorecard.
Yeah.
I was learning that before. I was learning how to do it just before I lost the interest in the Braves. And it's kind of like learning Morse code.
Yeah, because there's the old-fashioned one where it's just like graph paper. It's just a bunch of blocks that for each spot in the lineup and, you know, each inning. And you got to put like these different abbreviations and a dot here for a ball and a dot over here for a strike and, you know, a dot with a circle for the first out and whatever it is. And then those blocks got a little bit bigger and there was a diamond on each one. So now you could keep track of whether they got a single or a double and all kinds of different shit. She was really good at it.
Yeah, I was learning.
She was bitchy too. That's not a hit. That's an error. It's Little League.
Oh, that's funny. All right, man. I got to get out of here. My chat's already yelling at me. So
Get
have
going.
a great day. Go get your.
Going to kill my end of the radio, folks. Sport Cat's up next. I will see you tomorrow. That's it. I'm out of here. Have a good one. Okay, that stream is done. You can take it.
All right. Daddy is in control. I am all green. I got it. So, all right, man. We'll go get your press credentials and I'll talk to you later today.
All right. See you again.
All right. Catch you later.
That is it for those of you joining me or still with me on whatever other feed. I'm out of here. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Thanks for getting off the porch. Run with the big dog.